Now, we've all heard these stories, and maybe you have even experienced it. You've had a few drinks, and you're in a social setting, and quite magically, you will find yourself speaking a foreign language and feeling quite good about it. Also, you probably heard some friends say that, oh, I had a few drinks and I spoke Spanish with this Spanish person, and I didn't believe that I had such a high level. Now, this view is extremely common. But does alcohol really help you speak a foreign language better? As you can imagine, and you have experienced probably as well, alcohol in moderate amounts relaxes people, and if you're relaxed, then you will probably be less anxious about, how are you performing in speaking the foreign language. So it sounds like something that, really might help, but let's see what the facts and research says. One study that was conducted on Germans who speak Dutch found out that really alcohol in moderate amounts raised these persons' ability to speak Dutch and converse more freely. What is interesting is that it affected positively, especially the pronunciation part. That said, it didn't much affect their knowledge of the language nor their grammar skills, for example. And also, it's important to note that these people participating in the study had only a few, let's say 2 drinks, so it's a moderate amount. So you can imagine that, having more drinks would have an adverse effect. So what researchers concluded from all this is that indeed, alcohol in moderate amounts will raise your language proficiency, especially the pronunciation part. And it really makes sense if you think about it. People are usually super anxious, especially in the social setting. So if you can relax a little bit, be less self-conscious, which alcohol for sure does, then your pronunciation will improve because you will be more brave in expressing yourself. For example, when I speak Italian, then the most compliments that I've received from people that I've spoken to is that when I felt that I was really overdoing it and I was pronouncing everything in a super acted way, in a way, which isn't natural for me as a native Estonian who speak the language usually in a pretty conserved fashion. But this shows that indeed, low levels of alcohol might give you more courage, hence you will sound more natural in your pronunciation. The fact that moderate alcohol will help you pronounce the language better doesn't mean that you should have a drink every single day when you are speaking the language. Instead, daily practice and really practicing saying out loud full sentences is a much better way to build confidence, and next time when you are in a situation where you need to speak the foreign language, you will cope and manage with it because you have trained yourself on a daily basis. So the best way to do that is to use the Speakly app and actively use the speaking exercises in the study area and also use the listening exercises. Now, how I love to use the Speakly listening exercises is that I will listen to an exercise and after every paragraph, I will pause the exercise and I will try to say the whole paragraph out loud to myself the best as I can. So this is a really neat trick to prepare yourself for real-life conversations, which you can ace also without alcohol being a factor. Now, as we discovered in one other video in this channel where we talked about the fastest spoken languages on planet Earth, we found out that Spanish is one of the fastest spoken language. And indeed, if you can imagine that, in normal circumstances, it's difficult to express yourself in Spanish in a natural way, I would say that having a few drinks doesn't help the fact. And mostly the helping factor is something that you feel that is happening rather than something that is actually happening. I remember a story when Ed Sheeran, the famous songwriter and guitarist, told in an interview that he never goes on stage drunk because while he might feel amazing being on stage, for the audience, it will be a bad experience. So having a drink, especially with fast spoken languages like Spanish, might feel like it's helping, but it might not be the case. Now, again, the best way how to build actual confidence and actual listening and speaking skills is the Speakly listening exercises and listening them on a daily basis. It's usually not understood how simple listening on a daily basis can also develop your speaking skills, and it actually does. So what I recommend you to do, especially with those fast-paced languages like Spanish, is, for example, take one Speakly listening exercise, listen to it at least 5 to 7 days in a row, and don't change the exercise. And you will feel that these fast-paced languages like Spanish will get slower and slower in time, and you will be able to understand and speak them much better and with real confidence, which doesn't need alcohol to be involved in it. Now, as we saw based on the research that we analyzed, yes, it is proven that moderate amounts of alcohol will make you more confident, hence will improve your pronunciation of the language. But there are much better ways to build up real confidence that doesn't need the alcohol factor to be in the whole formula. That said, there is a slight little nuance that we also need to understand. Having moderate amounts of alcohol will only help people who have an intermediate or advanced level in the language because they already have some foundation of the language. And, hence it will help them pronunciate the language better if they are more confident. But it doesn't apply to beginners who don't know anything in the language yet, obviously. Hence, to finish this video, I would recommend you to use real methods and real useful approaches to build up confidence in a language in a meaningful way. And, just keep in mind that it's a funny little fact or to know that really moderate amounts of alcohol can help you pronounce the language better.